There we go. Yeah. Been slacking with the culinary angles. So, post-workout, what the hell am I supposed to eat? I think a pound of ground beef will do me good. Now, if I slam the whole thing, that's not really gonna upset me too much. But, yeah, I'm pretty hungry. I don't mind a 100-gram of protein meal. Let me make sure. Pound, 4 servings. Yeah, well, 92 grams of protein-ish. But, at the end of the day, I'm aiming for like 60, 50 per meal. But if you ever have more than that, you have like something like this where you're eating a whole bunch and it ends up being more like, 90 at a time. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? It's not like suddenly your body says, holy crap, more than 50 grams of protein within a 2-hour period? What the hell am I supposed to do? So that being said, I'm aiming for 50 per meal spread out, but I'm pretty hungry right now, so I don't mind starting the day or starting post-workout with just a reasonably high protein portion, because I'm not like, it's not like I'm dieting for a show right now, but I am dieting because I want to get leaner. So, I've still got to be strict enough to actually make that happen. But it's much easier for me to, let's just say, stick within my calorie goals if I eat most of my protein first and then save the carbs for afterward. So I remember the first time I ever cooked ground beef, or maybe not exactly the first time, but I remember actually, no, I don't know if I do remember the first time I ever cooked ground beef. But it's not hard, so if this counts as a ground beef tutorial, that's really it. Slap a pan in the pan, put it on low, put it on high, I guess if you're in a real rush and you want to sit and baby it. And then you just kind of wait. You just sort of sit here, wait for this thing to get cooked. If when I'm really prepping, what I'm going to do is get more of a soup pot and then put like 6 pounds into it. Really leave that at low, put the lid on, come back after like 20 minutes, give it a stir, and then just strain it and pour the whole thing into a huge salad bowl with a lid so I can leave like 6 pounds of ground beef in the fridge ready. Because I want to ease but I want to get rid of the amount of steps that are necessary between hunger and meal right in front of me. So, to have ground beef already cooked in the fridge, strained, right? What do I have to do to get it ready? Take a bowl out, 1 step. Get a spoon, 2 steps. Put the ground beef into the bowl, 3 steps. Grab a carb of some kind. Today it's going to be cheddar rice cakes, 4 steps. Grab barbecue sauce, 5 steps. That's pretty good, right? Now for me to cook something every time that you'd want to eat it, well, you're really adding steps now. You got to unwrap it, put it into the pan, wait however many minutes, make a mess, strain it, and it's not, I'm not saying that like that's a cats are fighting. I'm not saying that like I'm complaining, like, oh, it's so hard to just sit and cook ground beef. Like, it's really not. But it's more so, why make anything more challenging on yourself than it has to be? And again, that's not like a slacking motivation. That's, if I want to do something really consistently, I want it to be easy. If I want to go to the gym and get a really good workout, I don't want to sit in, have to sit in the car and say, oh, I'm so tired. I stayed up till 4 a.m. on Discord. A million other kind of random excuses. Oh, dude, my head. Man, I got fucked up last night. Oh, I don't want to work. That's no fun for me. I'd rather be prepped beforehand so I can come into the gym and say, man, I feel really good. Let's go nuts. And if you have food prepped in the fridge, ready to go, I'm not saying you need to have like full-on Tupperware stacked on top of each other for an entire week straight. I don't take it that far. But even just having, the plain building blocks of the meal ready, it just makes it so much easier to stick to whatever your calorie goals may be. Because what's the likelihood that, you're trying to lock in. Okay, I'm getting serious. School's over. I've been eating a bunch of shit because, well, I've been studying for finals and I didn't have to sit around and cook. I didn't have time to really prep everything. But now that it's summer, I can really focus. I can get back onto my diet and grind. Well, that's where having these little habits, I think, is going to help you. So having some rice cakes in your cupboard instead of just regular chips, solid. Having a bunch of proteins already cooked. If you don't mind canned chicken, personally I like it. It's got a decent amount of sodium in it, so I wouldn't eat it like the week before a bodybuilding show when your sodium intake is like, it has to be really specifically monitored. But for just a regular day of dieting, an extra 2 grams of salt from 1 can of chicken, how much water are you drinking? If you're carrying a gallon jug around, that's going to completely negate any negative of high sodium intake because it's just going to get diluted from the water. The issue would be if you ate like 10 grams of sodium and then drank no water whatsoever, right? That's where things become a problem. I could sit and eat, I don't know how many grams of salt in a day, but a ton if I drank a ton of water along with it. Like imagine you get some kind of electrolyte drink. Let's say it's got a gram of salt in 1 serving. You're not going to dehydrate yourself by drinking a ton of it because, it's all about the intensity of the solution. You can't drink salt water because there's way too much salt for the amount of water that it's actually, dissolved in. But you can slam a freaking, electrolyte packet all day because you've drinking enough water to kind of counteract it. So that's one thing that I think gets overhated for canned meats, especially the canned chicken. Canned tuna, not so bad because it's not, but then everybody freaks out about mercury. I don't know, I've never noticed a problem. But also I'm not eating like 10 cans of tuna a day. But stuff like this, this is kind of the extent of my cooking ability. Next time we're in here, I'm going to get a sous vide because that's my preferred method of making steaks. Because then it's perfectly cooked every time. There's zero guesswork. But it's just a little more of a chore. And also, I don't have any steaks in the fridge. But, yeah, this guy is still freaking simmering. So take a look at this. I haven't showed you guys this guy for a little while. Ooh. Yeah, it's Rocky. Rocky's a good cat. Honestly, I don't want to say he's my favorite because I don't have favorites, but he's pretty much my son. Very chill. He hasn't, I don't know, I guess chill's not the right word. Because if I left the room, he would eat all the ground beef out of this pot, or out of this pan. Well, maybe not because it's hot, but like if I left a bowl of ground beef, he would get his freaking, he'd get his fill. Let's just put it like that. So apart from having to keep the cupboards closed all the time, he's pretty much freaking perfect. But when we let him outside, like not all the time, but it's like during the day, sometimes some of them will catch something. You can't really see him, but Rio is right here. Ooh, yeah, there we go. He caught a pigeon once. Didn't kill it, but did capture it. Whereas Rocky has not yet caught anything. But I'm sure he will. He's just, he needs the cover of darkness, considering he's so freaking, elusive in the night. But I'm going to enjoy my pound of ground beef. So let's do a reverse time. So this is actually the beginning of the video, even though I already worked out. So let's get in the car and figure out how we're going to wreck shoulders. Let's put it that way. All right. Would you believe me? Would you believe me if I told you that this year is already halfway over? Now, if you didn't, I guess you'd be correct. Technically, since it's only the 1st of June, really only 5 months has gone by. We've just begun the 6th, so 1st of the month. But it's essentially halfway done. Let's be real. I think people, maybe not you. Maybe you're extra locked in, but let's just use this as a generalization. I think the yearly loop is very comparable to the weekend, right? Monday, January, January, February-ish. That's, some people, especially if you get older, I think I've heard a lot of guys kind of talk about how New Year it's just another It's just another scratch in the wall counting how many years have passed. But, for some, it's like, all right, new year, let's get real. It's that kind of start of the year Monday motivation. And then you get in the swing of things halfway through the year. Right now we're in the Wednesday phase, right? Nobody dreads a Wednesday, but I don't think a Wednesday gets anybody going. If anything, you're like, all right, let's chill out a little bit. School's out, it gets warmer. Usually, even businesses, it's not the same as school. Obviously, school is done for 3 months, unless you're doing like summer term and you're a real academic weapon. But even businesses, quarter 2 and 3 are usually a little more chill. Things slow down. Everything slows down, And we're just itching for, really, by the time Halloween comes around, that's Saturday. That's the weekend. Halloween onward to Christmas, I think, is very typically holiday chill season. So I say this every year, and I have been for the past few years. So for me, this feels very repetitive to say. And it actually kind of makes me puts things into perspective, at least. Just because I'm always like, all right, it's February, 2 months in. All right, it's June, 5 months in. August. So for anybody who, let's say, this year you wanted to get real, it's certainly not too late, right? It's never too late. But time is passing. Time is passing at a more and more increasing rate. So, if you've had a little bit of a thought bubbling up in your head, ooh, you know what? I think I've been telling myself I wanted to get really lean again, just like I was in my so-and-so year of this or so or whatever. I don't know, I just haven't. The argument is good. It's a very strong argument not to lock in dieting down wise. Food tastes good. You don't want to deal with it. Cardio takes time. I understand it. It's not as though I can't value like the effort that goes into really burning body fat. But the reward is so good. Maybe not for everyone, in the world, but for you yourself, at least every time I diet down and bulk up, but, I'm talking dieting down right now. Like, shit, man. I do not even remember the feeling of, like, oh, man, I really want to get canes right now or something. I don't even remember. It happened. I know it happened for sure, and I can imagine the feeling. But every time I shut the cupboard and I didn't eat a bunch of trash because I'm like, I'm getting lean, I'm getting serious right now. That's not what I remember. You know what I remember from the last couple of months, and what I'm about to remember going forward for the rest of the summer? Holy shit, I was lean. So take that as a little motivation. If you've been, I don't want to say in a state of failure to launch, but if you've been hemming, I don't know, let's say I'm, this guy's 20-something% body fat, a little softer than he'd like, new to the gym. Do I bulk? Do I cut? I don't know. That is the danger zone, right? I was just playing pickleball with Mark, and he told me a phrase that I did not know. When you're in the middle of the court, outside the kitchen, but you're not behind the back bar, you're in no man's land. And that's the spot that you're in when you just can't put it together. Do I try to gain size and strength, or do I diet? If you're consistently main gaining, then you're good. But I think people get to a point where main gaining is no longer sustainable, or it's just not what you want. If you want to really make a change, usually that's going to involve either some extra calories or some fewer calories. So June 1st, shit, man, you got time. 4 weeks, you can lose a couple pounds. So, just if this helps, maybe consider this sort of just reflection on the amount of time that's already passed this year as like an ignition for that motivation. But I'm already on track, so I don't need that extra ignition. I just need I just need a continuous airflow so I can keep the fire burning. If you kind of get what I'm saying. A little bit of a weird analogy. But plan for today is going to be some shoulders, some side and rear delts. So dieting, I'm going to throw some shoulders in. I'm not, once I start increasing my intake calorie-wise, I'm not going to be doing a ton of shoulders because I don't want them to, obviously I want big shoulders, but they're just a bit overpowering my chest and my arms and my back. Like, for me, shoulders are ahead of the game, so I can kind of slack on them a little, and that's, I don't want to say that in like a good way in terms of slacking, but it's just kind of how it is. But I'll still throw them around every so often. So when it comes to shoulders, what really got me going in terms of like early shoulder development, I don't remember who said this. Maybe it was a Rich Piana video, maybe it was some kind of something. But even early on, like year one lifting Sam, I had a pretty strong respect for rear delts, which I think we get the gist of it now. Fitness is just so mainstream that nobody's really skipping body parts unless they're really intentionally skipping them, like guys who skip legs or back just because they'd rather do arms, shoulders, and chest. But rear delts, I remember doing bent over rear delt lateral raises with like the 20s in my high school gym, because in my head, something that I watched really instilled the idea that I want my shoulders to cap over the backside, which I think is much more important than your front delts in terms of like manual development. Obviously shoulder press is cool, behind the neck Smith machine, love it, different kind of shoulder press machines, solid, but really what I think gives you that just brolic look is a lot of this motion here, where your delts, if you get lean enough, you can actually see the fibers. They kind of climb over your back towards your mid traps, and then you're going to fill out a shirt better if that's something you're really concerned about. Like if the idea is, okay, how can I look bigger in my clothes, right? If you got capped rear delts, that's really going to do it for you. Plus it's just kind of interesting, because somebody with big rear delts, or at least developed rear delts, really does have a little bit of a different look than someone without them. You get this kind of, even if your posture's good, with small rear delts, you get a little bit of a forward leaning hunch, because your front delts are always going to be bigger than your rear delts, but at least you can do what you can to, kind of undo that ratio. So that's going to be the plan for me today. Rear delts first, side delts second. Because when I'm doing side laterals, if you lean forward a little bit as you're doing them, you end up getting a bit of rear delt activation at the same time. So it's kind of like when I'm doing back. I'm trying to only hit my upper back with my rows, but I'm getting a little bit of lat work in there too, and then vice versa. So it's hard to really purely isolate one part of your shoulder, because I don't know if that's even the right way to go about it. If you're thinking, at least when I look at my shoulder, it's not as though there's super significant like insertions. It's kind of just more like this gradient across the entire ball of it. So the way that I kind of separate it out is just an even amount of rear delt work with side delt work. But you can do things from different angles too. It doesn't have to be only like front raise 90 degrees in front of you, side lateral 90 degrees to the side, and then rear delts perfectly this direction. There's so many different kind of angles to it. It's something where you can kind of play around. Like you could lean a little bit further forward on a reverse pec deck doing your rear delts, or you could do, I might even do this today, kind of a superset of side delts first and then bend forward and do rear delts, because you can kind of, I don't want to say cheat, but use a little bit of momentum to burn out with some extra rear delt side laterals. Now that I say that, I think that superset might be a really good finisher. Alright, I think he just gave me a freaking good idea for this shoulder pump. So I think nothing else to say. I've got some inspiration. Let's make this shit happen. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to start with rear delts first. Main reason being rear delts prior to side delts. For the pose down, I want my side delts to be the biggest that they can be, so that, if I sit here and I hit like a little something like this, they are the roundest. But by pre-exhausting my rear delts first, when you do a side delt movement, you're not only activating pure side delt, I mean, I guess you can kind of try, but usually I kind of have a little bit of like a backward angle to myself too. So I'm pulling up and back a little and getting some rear delt. You know, like I wasn't joking in the car, rear delt emphasized training, at least when it comes to laterals, I think it's a good approach. So let's start with a heavy reverse pec deck. Not the stack, but still decently heavy. And then just go from there. All right. Okay. Okay. A few more. All right, let's go a little heavier. Okay. Oh. All right. Okay. Okay. That was a nasty drop set. Holy shit. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's do one more of those and then move on. Okay. Whew. All right. I'm trying to think. Would it be better to move on to rear delts, or to, what am I saying, to side delts, and then finish with a rear delt superset? Or do a little more rear delt work? Give me a second to decide. Plan now, before moving on to rear delts, or what am I saying, side delts, I keep mixing them up. I love a face pull, but I don't like sitting here trying to keep my balance and doing a face pull, right? I mean, as much as I don't mind a regular like seated cable row, I prefer chest supported. I can keep my lower back out of it, and I can kind of, not completely, but I try to like relax my whole system just so I can really focus on the targeted muscle. Bench vertical, set up yay wide, and a rope right here. So I can kind of, just a chest supported face pull. There we go. All right. Okay. A little heavier for this one. Okay. This will be a good heavy one. Heavy-ish. Okay. Whew. Okay. All right. Let's grab some dumbbells now. All right. So exactly like I was talking about in the car. Well, sorta. But on this incline bench, so one notch below totally vertical, I'm kind of getting a little more rear delts. So I'd say this is half and half. This is like half side delts, half rear delts. But what that tells me is that I'll definitely be hitting the area of my shoulder in between, right? So think of my shoulder as like, I don't know, like an octagon, right? So you got the top side, side delts, you got the front side, front delts, and you got the back side, rear delts. But there's also those angles in between. So I'm kind of hitting that like upper quadrant here. But it's enough side delts that I still count this as a side delt movement. But 30s are going to be it. If I try to do the 40s here, the reps would look like total shit. All right. There we go. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay. 30s is a good number, I believe. All right. All right, I think one more of those and we'll be totally pumped. All right, let's make some shit happen here. I'm talking, I don't know. Can I do the 65s even for like 2? Well, either way, something heavy, drop to the 35s, maybe to the, well, yeah, no, super heavy, 35s, 15s, and then some rear delts. Shoulders should freaking pump up like basketballs after this. Okay, 65s would be nuts. Let's do 55. All right. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Holy shit. That was a good drop set. Let's pose down. All right, we're at a cheeky, what the hell? There we go. Yeah, perfectly center. So, side delts, rear delts, killed. Front delts, chilling. Front delts, not so destroyed. So, just as like a little bit of a through the shirt representation, that's what I want to see right here. I guess I gotta grab the sleeve as well. But just this sort of roundness, right? Like tricep kind of bulging out the back, but then there's another bump of rear delt creeping out as well. I think I'm gonna start working out in freaking tanks, man. I want to see what I'm doing. Now, especially because I'm not growing. If I'm growing, I like a pump check where the pump is like astronomically different than unpumped and on the way there. But leaner, I mean, shit, even just doing like a curl, just watching everything happen, it's kind of cool. I don't know. It's good to go back and forth, but let's see how we're looking. So, after only a little bit of dialing in the diet, I mean, shit, you know, a little bit of fluff water weight, it comes and goes rather quickly. So I think this is my most brolic pump, because having pumped up shoulders, just, I mean, shit, it may as well widen like your entire frame. So let's just hit some standing shots here. Yeah, like even just this is crazy. There we go. All right, shoulders thrashed, cardio inbound. Unfortunately, overcast. Ooh, that's not good. I don't know. Maybe it might be good. I don't know. I'm like borderline pink. I'm borderline pink. I'm not burned, but I'm a little pink. I've been laying out. I guess that'll make today a good day off. Little melanin production break. But oh yeah, I was about to get into the fact that, you know, now I've been working out for 8 coming on 8 years-ish. It should be 8 by like August. That'll be the 8-year mark, not including sports and like calisthenic sort of base workouts that I was doing beforehand, and like legs lifts and crunches and that sort of stuff. Really, that gave me a good baseline. But yeah, coming up on 8 years. And then more like for the first year and a half, first 2 years, basically not really into fitness social media at all. I didn't start posting anything until like 3 years ago, but the first couple years I was working out, I only really watched like informational videos. I'm talking like some just tutorial stuff, like volume breakdowns, kind of very just training specific, almost like lecture style stuff. Watch it for a little while, get a good baseline of information, and then train, go nuts. And my headspace is always like, if you're if you're a hardcore something or other and you're really into something, doesn't doing it kind of give you the satisfaction? Like, how much do you have to watch somebody do it? I think that was kind of my logic at the time. But even only having really gotten into it the last like 5 years or so, I feel like it's not as like cut and dry as an election cycle, which is pretty consistent. Essentially, Republican president, screw this Republican president, Democrat president, screw this guy, and the cycle continues onward. But even with just general like hype motivation, I don't think it's a 4-year cycle. I think it's more like a 10-year cycle. Like somehow 10-ish years, something along those lines, is enough time for, let's just say, the motivation, the reasoning and motivation to almost flip back and forth. So what I felt was going into 2020 something or other, right, COVID year, that was, okay, well, nobody can really go out and do anything cool. You can't really go out in the world and show off the cool shit that you're doing, which typically is directly in line with expensive shit, right? I'm talking like yacht, the guy driving the Lambo. That wasn't around because everybody's just staying at home and you couldn't really do shit. It was like things just got put on pause. That's when I started posting workout videos, which was like a freaking alignment of the stars. Because everybody was like, okay, well, you know what? If I can't go out and do some cool stuff, shit, I got some spare time. Let's get some. Let's do some self work. Let's lock in. A very positive, motivational headspace type period, which I think we're getting out of a little. And I don't say we as in us. I mean like just the world. And not even like a ton. I'm talking just like the stuff I see on TikTok. So, this is probably biased towards just my own kind of perspective. But for a couple years, it was who was working out the hardest, who was the most consistent, kind of a Greg Plitt style, Tom Platt's just total freaking hype. I'm not seeing Tom Platt's videos anymore. And I think part of it is just a lot of short form content has become like it. Like that's where everybody is seeing everything. And it's sort of been overrun with all of the Clipper and the AI. I'm not talking like AI generated videos. I'm saying AI like edited kind of stuff. Like, where 3 guys say, yeah, I think we're pretty funny. Let's do a podcast. And then you'll just see random clips of somebody's podcasts for like 10 scrolls in a row. Like there's almost just too much. But I think we were pretty locked in the last couple of years, but we were too locked in. So now we're back to a 2012 Ziz kind of party-ish era. And then that's also coupled with all of like the online trading, like selling courses, LARPing kind of logic, like LARP it until you make it type situation. So it's like, you tell me if this is accurate, but I feel like 2020-ish was very becoming emphasized, very grind, work on yourself kind of logic or kind of motivation and hype. And then now we're in kind of a just being, right? So that's the That's the 10 guys who all rent a Urus in California, and then they split it 10 ways equally, and every portion that one guy gets is him posting himself with it, and that kind of shit. So that's straight out of that's the current version of 2012 YouTube, when it was the YouTuber house, and they're doing music videos and stuff, like the Jake Paul. What was the Jake Paul song? Team 10. This is our current version of Team 10, just with new people. So, am I just chronically online and I keep scrolling when I should be just doing anything else? Probably. But, you tell me, do you notice that? Or if you've been around for a while, you've probably seen all sorts of different shit. If somebody's been working out since 2000, you're actually a full-grown freaking adult, and you've been watching how the gyms have changed. I'd love to hear, I'll read a freaking 10-paragraph comment, because I'd love to hear your kind of perspective there. Because the gym has got to be way different, astronomically different now than it was 26 years ago. So, if you've got a story to tell, I will certainly read it. But I'll try to block all that noise out. Don't really stress about it too much. At the end of the day, no matter what you see on your phone, your day, it's kind of the same shit. What's most important to you is just staying on whatever routine you're on, and then hustling in whichever way you're hustling, right? So whether that's locking in with calorie restriction, getting leaner, or bulking up, those are the things that are really going to affect your day by day. And then everything else is just kind of clickbaity noise. So a solid shoulder day under the belt, and we're approaching, I'm at a red light, let me do some math here. So calculator, all right, so 8 years times 365. All right, yeah, so by the end of the year I will have hit my 3,000th lift ish. I have rest days every now and again. Last year, I don't know, no more than 20. I really doubt there was more than 20 rest days. So I think just to say daily, so 365 lifts a year, is a reasonable approximation. It's probably a little less, but yeah, that'll put me at 3,000. So that's a good feeling. Maybe we'll do I guess this is in the future. This is 6 months away, but I'm sure I'll try to come up with some kind of 3,000th special. I don't know. Maybe see how many people I can bring to the gym. That's one problem that I have with not living in LA or anything, all the social media hubs, which I really don't mind because they're kind of gross, but there's nobody around. So if I want to ask somebody to come over to the gym, it's hey man, do you want to uproot yourself and then come all the way to Ohio? I don't know if I see the draw, but we'll see what happens. That's on the list. Yeah, more collabs are certainly on the list. There's just a little bit of back-end setup that's got to go along with making them happen. But either way, solid lift. So I will see you tomorrow for some chest. I plan on going nuts. Where? Unsure. Where will I be going crazy? I am not certain. But it'll be somewhere. So I guess we'll find out.